Super Soul Sisters, another interesting episode that we're going to be having right here in this beautiful space, Daughter exclusive. And of course, with me is a very amazing woman, a story to tell, not just one story, a couple of stories, and she's been able to go against all odds and make it for herself and say, I'm still going to push my way through. With me is Honorable Babadiri, Margaret, or Margaret Babadiri, depending on how you want to go around the words. I always do that, by the way.
Okay.
And I must say, they say once an honorable, always.
Honorable.
And honorable. Thank you for making time with us.
Thank you very much, Kazumba, for giving me this opportunity to discuss my lifetime.
Yes. And it is quite an interesting one.
That's a really good chance, which I really value.
That is very true.
I'm called Babadiri Margaret.
Yes. And with me right here, I'm holding this book, yes? And it is The Invisible Hand of God in My Life. Basically, still telling the story. This is something, if you want to over and over again go and read back and see and be motivated and be inspired by this story. Now, there's a number of things that, of course, we're going to talk about that are still also in this book. Now, people would want to understand, when we're talking about Honorable Babadiri, who are we talking? First of all, the other time I was like, Babadiri, that name is one that you would rarely hear. But Honorable Babadiri, who is she?
I'm Babadiri Margaret.
Yes.
And a former member of parliament for about 25 years. And I'm a teacher by profession.
Okay.
Now I'm a social worker. I'm born to a family of Martin Baba and Mariata Apude. These are all from Media clan in the Media parish and the Media sub-county in Koboko district. Koboko is located extreme northwest of Uganda, bordering southern Sudan and Congo. Yes. So we're right there. So I was born in 1954, 20th of June. Okay. Now I'm clocking 68 years old.
That is a good age.
Yes. My father was a sub-chief, but my mother was just a housewife. My early days of life, I was born actually able-bodied, very nice baby. But with the time, my health deteriorated. I had multiple diseases. I had cough, I had malaria, I had some scabies, I have a lot of diseases in my body. But which made me actually very weak and sickly. That is how I earned the name. Actually, my maiden name is called Drego.
Drego, yes.
That is somebody who is a weakling. But now, when I grew up, of course, I got married to a man called Diri. Then I picked the name of Diri, replacing Drego. And Baba is my father's name. So that's why I've come with the name of Margaret Babadiri.
Yes, I read somewhere in some part where you said you are also nicknamed the Dragonfly.
Okay,
how does that?
I was nicknamed Dragonfly because of those many illnesses. I became very thin. I never grew very fat. And you know, with this school life in primary, children like teasing you. I was so small that they look at me like a dragonfly, which really annoyed me.
I know, I understand.
So I went to primary school, to Teremunga Primary School. By then it's a Catholic school in our Koboko.
At this point,
mission.
are you still falling sick often?
No, with the time I became all right. I improved, my life improved. Okay. Yeah, I no longer fall sick as I used to be. Then I read from primary 1 to 4. Then that time, in early 60s, girls were not supposed to learn together with the boys, even in the primary level. So my father had to send me to Lodonga, which was a unisexual school, that is for girls alone. That's where I completed my P5. Then in early also 60s, around 64, they decided to secularize the schools. That means boys and girls can read together.
Yes,
so it was not necessary for my father to send me again to Lodonga. Then that time he was transferred from Koboko sub-county to Lodara sub-county, which is the northern end of Koboko district. So he was there as a sub-chief, and I joined a school called Longara Primary School. Now currently it's called Goya Primary School. That's where I finished the senior, P6. That time, at the end of P6, you sit for primary leaving exams. Then from there you go to a junior. Then I passed very well. First grade I went to Idiofe junior school. And that year, whether fortunate or unfortunate, that was the time when they stopped P8. Instead of calling that junior school, they call it now primary 7. And they wanted to abolish the P8.
The P8, yes.
So we're the first pupils to sit for P7 together with the P8. From there I went to the first year I went to Wari Secondary School. We're the pioneers of Wari Secondary School in Nebi district. That time it was started by late Lordship Bishop Tarantino. That was the white Italian bishop.
Bishop, yes.
We were all taken there. All those, whether you pass fairly, you were all dumped there.
Yeah.
And yet my desire was to go to Sacred Heart, because I also admired the girls at the Sacred Heart.
Yes.
We stayed there for 1 year. Luckily enough, to my advantage, they changed it. They said now we cannot continue with the senior 2 because they cannot afford it now. Let the senior 2s go to study in a Sacred Heart. That was my.
You must have been the happiest.
Actually, during those early years, I developed some duodenal ulcer, and they were disturbing me from the age of 6. I think those early diseases, duodenal ulcer.
Or you just continued from
pain, even throughout my primary life, even up to. Let us say senior 1, just because of change of environment, stresses. You know, once you have ulcers,
yes,
you don't need to. That means you have problems.
Yes. And you did mention here that you would walk to school with your sister rather. You reach there, home is far, to go back and have lunch, or maybe you didn't have containers like the rest of the kids, and you'd have to sit it out and wait till you go back home.
That one is true. Those days, lunch was not cooked at home. And also, the home was about 1.5 kilometers. We could walk home. But the challenge that my mother was so busy that even at lunchtime she's not there to prepare food. She's very busy in the field.
Yes.
So the only thing is just you eat what you have in the morning and you stay at home, because it's useless to come home. That's why we were staying at school. And it was a hard time, but we managed to persevere.
Yes.
It was not easy. But because of that experience, to me, today I wouldn't like really primary children to suffer, because this is the stage when they are growing and they need the food all the time in their bodies. But now they starve like that. It is another way of making them standard. So we went through that one. Luckily enough for my case, I went, I think it was now primary 3 and 4. Then we went to boarding school, as I told you earlier. So there we could have lunch.
So now the ulcers, how does that affect you now as you're growing? You're now a teenager, getting into...
Yeah, from there now, when I was transferred to Sacred Heart, that was the best school I wanted, and even the ulcers disappeared for 3 years. I was okay, I was very healthy.
That is good.
The ulcers disappeared because I was happy, I was in the right school, and I had my friend called Rose Aya. Sarah, she was a refugee from Sudan. Those refugees who came in 65. And she was a very bright lady and a very nice lady. We were together all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, she joined me in DOFA P7. Then from there we went to Wari together, and we were transferred to Sacred Heart together. And we studied up to senior 4.
Okay.
Then that time Sacred Heart Gulu did not have any senior 5 and 6. So those who like to go to senior 5 and 6, they go to Namagunga or to Tororo Girls. But for me, I decided to go to Tororo Girls, and my friend went to Namagunga. But as if it was God's arrangement, there they gave her arts to study, art science subjects to study. But first said that she wanted sciences.
She wanted sciences.
Then late Father Chifaldi, who has been her benefactor, decided to transfer back to Tororo Girls. So we are together once more. We're very happy. That is how we studied in Tororo Girls. I studied biology, chemistry, and
you did mention you loved school right from childhood.
Yes, I loved school very
much. You enjoyed to go and
you are right.
Was that an escape though? Was that?
No, you see, the issue is that I love school, and once I'm taught, things remain in my head, and when they ask, I know what has been taught. I don't forget.
You don't forget.
I think that IQ of mine was a bit higher at early stage. I was easily to pick, and as a result, I enjoyed schooling very much. So from senior 4, and then from 5 there, I not managed to go to university from Tororo Girls.
Yes.
I decided to go. I did not qualify to go to university, but my friend Sarah Rose went to university, and for me I went to NTC. That is that time is in Chambogo, the only national training college. That's where I completed.
How easy was that?
Became a grade 5 teacher. It was very easy for me. It was nice because I was studying the subjects I loved very much, biology and chemistry. And that's when I qualified and I came to St. Charles Luanga to teach biology and chemistry.
So you did point out in this particular book, you almost missed the opportunity to go through the interviews for Chambogo.
After senior 4, our headmistress from Wari decided to invite Sarah and me to go to Wari, senior secondary school, to teach there after senior 6. Because he knew we are very bright, we are very intelligent people. So he invited us to teach there as temporary teachers. So I was staying there, and there was no way I could get regular papers. And those days radios were not really very common at home there, at school, even in Wari, even in Koboko. So I missed actually the interview. When I heard about it, people had actually done the interview. So I decided to come all the same. When I came to my brother, my elder brother is called Michael Arike. By then he was working in Kampala as an under secretary in the Ministry of Immigration. I was staying with him. Now, I never saw Chambogo. I didn't know where Chambogo was. So he just drew me a map. Said, please go and find out. You have studied geography. Make use of your knowledge. But I didn't know where to go. So he said, book either for Mukono or Jinja. Then when you reach a place called Banda, you will get a place. You will get down there. All the same, I came. I identified the Nakawa. By then, the buildings were very funny at that time. They were temporary buildings. Then I passed the Chambogo roundabout. I reached. Then I asked the conductor to help me. If I reach Banda, let him tell me. So as soon as we reached Banda, he said, now you can come down. I came down. I didn't know which direction to take. I could not see any signpost of Chambogo. So I was going on my way. Now, it has to through the town of Banda. That time it was a small town. Then all of a sudden, I had a certain lady calling me, Margaret, Margaret. I looked around. I thought maybe they were calling another Margaret. I continued my journey. Then when she called again, I looked back. That time I had my sight. And I saw a lady called Betty. By then we were together in Sacred Heart in the OG of mine. So she invited me to her home. They said, where are you going, Margaret? I said, I'm going I wanted to go to Chambogo, but I don't know where Chambogo is. He said, oh, no, don't worry, come, welcome. So she gave me tea, and we took tea. He said, I will give you a young man here to escort you. But I said, I'm going to find out if I can be taken to Chambogo. He said, but the interview was the other day. People had already given the admission letters. I said, no, let me try my luck, let me go. So after lunch, we went with the gentleman. I left him behind. He was one of those who were taken to go to Chambogo. So I left him behind. I said, when he reached, he said, stay around in the reception here. So I went and asked the receptionist, said whether the director was there. That time it was Lady Burra, the director. Then the deputy director was the doctor, that was called David Ongom. I don't know whether he's still alive or he has died, but I think he's alive. So the reception told me that the director was not there, but the person who is there is the deputy. I said, oh, the same, I'm going to see him.
Yes.
And I went to him, I knocked, he invited me in, and he asked me what do I want. I explained myself. She just looked at me and said, sorry, my daughter, the interviews were held already, and people have got the things. There's no way, maybe try next year. I started crying in front of him. I said, no, sir, next year I will be in the same place in Koboko, in Ware. Then also, even whatever I've learned, I will have forgotten. I said, but what can I do, my daughter? What course would you like to, what subjects would you like to study? I said, I can study by geography, biology, and chemistry, any of this combination. Then he told me, no, geography is not out, it's out. But let us try biology and chemistry. So he said, he rang the teacher of chemistry. Said, there's a lady here, a young lady here from West Nile, and she missed the interviews, but she's doing biology and chemistry. Can you come to interview her? Said, yes. Even I heard from the phone, I was very happy. He told me, okay, they are going to interview you, but you are not sure that they will take you. And I said, okay, I don't mind, sir. If I do the interview and I fail, then I know that I'm not fit for that place. But if it's God's will, I will pass. I will. Yes. So instead of going to my brother's home, I decided now go back to my friend's home. Because tomorrow morning is too early at 8. Where will I come all the way from Uganda Road? I couldn't. Yes. So I decided, I explained to my friend. I said, now they are going to interview me tomorrow. Please, can you accommodate me in your place? I said, no problem, no problem. So she gave me accommodation. Could I sleep? They gave me food. I ate. But could I sleep? I was now planning what kind of interview is going to be. And so I was really worried. But I was confident that I knew a lot of stuff of chemistry and biology. These are my best subjects. Yes. So in the morning I came by 8, I was already there at the door. At 8:30, the deputy director appeared. He went to his office, and then he called me in. Then he called another office messenger. He gave him to check if the lecturers were already there in the labs. He came back, said they're already there. So they gave me a file to the office messenger, and he went down. I was interviewed for 1 hour, the biology first, and then the chemistry. We came back to him. When he looked at it, he just smiled. He said, you have got A in biology, B in chemistry, so you can take this combination. Very, very excited. Said he's going to give me the admission now. So I went, waited in the visitor's room there, patiently waiting. And he gave me my admission.
He didn't even feel time fly.
He didn't. I didn't mind how long I can wait. He was very excited. Yes. And when I got my admission form, I went home and he said a big farewell to my friend who accommodated me, and thank her. There at Buganda Road, there was a commotion there. That day my other elder sister also, Teresa, was working in Botabika. She came to my brother's home. Then my brother told her that Margaret came here. She went for interview to Chambogo. She went to interview to look for space. Up north is not to come. And they came in the evening. I was nowhere to be seen. So all of them were worried, where is Margaret,
Yes.
where is Margaret, where is Margaret? I appeared now. They wanted actually in the morning. My sister went back and came very early in the morning. They said by around midday, if I don't appear, they will now make an announcement. But at around midday, before midday, I appeared with my excitement. So everybody was very happy. So that is how I got to Koboko. But one thing I should say is that those days, our bosses, I would say they were honest people. They really admit people for what they have done. And also they were sympathetic with us students from up country. I'm sure if I was within Uganda, they would say, why didn't you come for the interview?
Yes,
but they consider that surely northern Uganda is far, and it's true that I might not have got the interview. So they were very genuine people. I really thank them. But let us hope that it is the same now.
It is the same now, yes.
People really give, let's say, positions on merit.
So, St. Charles Lwanga.
So
You finished?
now from there, when I finished, I got to my boyfriend, that is Firenze.
So at the time you have found a boyfriend while at university? Or after?
I was already in Koboko. That's when, in fact, I first saw him. He was somebody, of course, we had been living together around Koboko.
Yes.
In the area, the village is not far from us.
Okay.
They were great friends with my elder brother. He used to come to our home. But that time he was fairly older than me. So I didn't think that I would fall in love. But with the time I ended up falling in love with him. So
you can never know with these things.
Then I got married to him on 19th of January, 1974.
So, but you met him at St. Charles Lwanga?
Yeah, I met him as a teacher. He was already teaching in St. Charles Lwanga. He qualified as a teacher in 1969.
Okay.
And his first school was St. Charles Lwanga.
So when you joined, you find him there?
Yeah, I found him there. Even I did my practicals. Teaching practical practice in St. Charles Lwanga.
Every girl has a list. I saw your list, eh? I saw your list. I said, okay. Your list was very specific.
The list.
Because you're not.
You want me to make all
the
those
language,
plans?
and most people, by the way, would not know that. These are some of the things people consider. Because when I read language, I'm like, yes, very possible.
I'm not very much gifted in languages. I don't learn the languages very fast, and I cannot be fluent. And when I was growing, I had my own principles. I said I want to marry somebody of the same tribe, preferably my teacher, preferably the same religion, and also somebody within. Because I fear going to stay very far and then marrying somebody who is miles away from your family, because maybe I love my parents, I love my people. So I had those principles.
Yes.
At these days, people just get married because you have seen a handsome man or a beautiful lady. But you must consider, put down what you want to achieve. Actual language is easier because your culture is the same.
It's the same,
yes. You will not find a problem in it. And even the food you eat, what you do. Then when it comes to religion, it's good to have the same religion so that children are not frustrated.
So we are here at Daughters Explosive. They're the ones giving us this amazing space. We're still here with Honorable Margaret Babadiri. She's taken us through most parts of her life, really, and her childhood. I think, as a child, you are one of those ones who are very curious, eh?
Yes.
And, of course, we'll be coming back later to find out a whole lot more, now that she gets into the working environment, how that was like for her. And we're back with more interesting stories. Here with me is Honorable Margaret Babadiri. Just a reminder, we are at Daughters Explosive here on Ginger Road, Spear House. You can always check it out and find out. They have amazing things and amazing space. So then you go to St. Charles Lwanga. How was that experience like?
First of all, I said I like teaching, and I chose really to teach. And I was teaching with my whole heart. Then I chose subjects which I love, biology and chemistry.
Yes.
Now, what was special about me is that each time I go to class with the biology, I must have specimen. Whether you're studying worms, whether you're studying animals, whether you're studying what, I make sure that I have something to show for the children.
Yes.
The roots of plants and so on. So it was really practical, and my students love biology.
Yes.
Actually, many doctors who became doctors, they say it was because of my biology.
Which is a very...
they passed it very well.
Good.
Then chemistry also, I loved chemistry, so I enjoyed my teaching. I started teaching 1976 March. And my teaching career was really disrupted. First by going to exile. You know, when Idi Amin was overthrown in 1979, he hails from Koboko, and the people of Koboko feared that they would be killed. So all of us went to exile. So we came back from exile in 1986. And that time my sight was now deteriorating. And in exile, of course, we suffered. You know, the life of exile was not easy.
Yes.
By the time I went to exile, I had already, let us say, 3 children.
Yes.
And then the other 4th born was born in Aru. Actually, she's a Congolese called Grace Anika. She was born in Congo. By then it was called Zaire. And then the other 2 were born after we returned from exile.
Yes.
My last 2, so I have a total of 6 children. Okay. Then when it comes to the issue of the sight, actually, I had a poor sight right from childhood. I'm now remembering what happened.
Yes.
I could not see very far. Other children would identify a person coming about 100 meters, 50 meters, but I would not see until the person comes near. Then when you would see, they would count the stars. They would count 10. I would end up with the 2, 3 big ones. So I realized that I think I had a problem from there. It could be those sickness of childhood affected my sight. I don't know. But now I realized that now I had a problem. Was it when teaching biology? When I see under the microscope, I could not see. If I see through my right eye, I could not see anything at all. But I was using mainly my right eye. I was not using the left eye under the microscope. So I felt something was wrong. Even to the head of department, I said, this microscope cannot see things clearly. But when he could see things, then I realized, I said, something must be wrong with me. And even if I have something in front of me, I would look for it in vain, especially if it comes to this side. I could not find it. Somebody would come and pick it near me here. So I realized that something is wrong with my sight. One day I just lay on my bed and looked at the bulb of the light. I covered the right eye, the right eye I could see. But when I covered the left eye, through the right eye I could not see anything at all. So that's the time when I realized that I was becoming blind. There I went straight away I came to Mulago, and I diagnosed it to be glaucoma. Some people call it glaucoma. And this is caused by high blood pressure in the vitreous humor of the eye. So pressure affects people differently. Others, it can be the heart, it can be what. So mine was now the eye. So it destroys the retina. And you cannot know that you are becoming blind.
Yes.
It's actually a thief of the sight. You can't know until you become blind. So that's why it delayed. I was coming for treatment regularly, but now because of the exile, I had to go away to exile. It took about 2 to 3 years before
coming back.
I went to Nyakundi in exile. That is 1982. That's where the left eye was operated. This one was already destroyed. Could not see anything.
They could not see.
But it was as clear as this one. But this cataract developed later in life. It developed later. So that's how I lost my sight. After operation, they saved only 10% of this eye. Only 10%. So you can imagine 90% of the sight was gone. They just saved on 10%. So when I came back, when we returned from exile, that is 1986, I went back to classroom. But that time the sight was very good. I could just read from outside. And I go with my young children. We go to collect the specimen. They pick for me. Then I go to the classroom.
Yes.
I could not read. I now talk out of my head. But if there's anything to be written,
Yes.
the children some students put the notes there.
Oh,
so that's
good.
how I thought.
That's good.
I struggled. It was until 1990 that the whole site disappeared. And I could not see
Disappeared,
anymore.
yes.
So that's how I lost my sight. You can imagine even now if you close your eyes, what can you do? You really feel bad. I was really worried because I thought that was the end of my life. I grew very thin. I couldn't do anything just except sitting in front of at my door at home there. Nothing, you can't do anything. I was just crying only.
So how do you eventually come out of it and say?
So from there, my elder sister, Teresa Araba, she went and talked to the teacher of the blind in Narua. You see, in Narua we have a primary school called Idiofe Primary School, where they have an annex for the blind, where they bring also blind girls to learn there. The other lessons, they learn like Braille, like movement, they learn, but the rest of the lessons they learn together with the primary girls. So he asked if she could come and talk to me. So that's teacher Anna Maria came to me and found me at my home now. They are worried, miserable, very thin. Even to me, I thought I developed sleep. I was worried.
You started thinking maybe it is.
I was worried.
I
was worried. So she just told me, Margaret, don't worry. The next time you come, I'll teach you Braille. I will rehabilitate you. Once you learn how to read and write, you can still go to class, because there are many blind people who are teachers. I could not believe myself. He said, okay, let us try. So the following term, that is May, I think actually second term actually of the term, of the year, I went. That time I had now my youngest daughter. She was just 1 year old. She was 1 year old. I went with her, then with a babysitter. They gave me a house, a hut actually, with the kitchen at the teacher's quarters. That's where I was now staying. And my husband allowed me to go. So I went there.
So your husband was actually very supportive.
He was very supportive as well. But at first, he didn't want me to go for the training, actually. He said it was not necessary. I said, no, it is necessary. Maybe I will do something in the future, I don't know. I may do something to help you with the children. Let me try my luck, but he allowed me to go.
Which is good.
He allowed me to go. There, that teacher was also very supportive. I learned now how to write and read and write using Braille. Now, Braille, we have this one for beginning, you have this slate. And this is the paper. You put it here. This is the Braille paper. Though I've written some things here. Okay. You put it there. And then you use this stylus.
Okay.
For writing. So you can write from here. You write from right to left.
To left.
You can just say here. A, B, C, D. So you write like that. They have alphabets up to Z.
Up to Z.
And these alphabets, you can make a lot of combinations. We have also contractions. For example, CH, you write a letter. TH, you write a letter. So you can come with many letters which you can use for writing. Yes. So that is Braille. Actually, when you open it, you'll find this raised things.
Yes,
that you read it, the ABCDs you can read. So that's what Braille is. Actually, the raised dots, you can feel the dots. You press, if you write, the paper comes into these small depressions here.
Yes.
It makes a kind of, I don't know, a ball. You feel it. So you can feel it. So I learned Braille. I learned how to move. I learned how to wash my clothes, how to do what. That is now when I felt that life is returning in my life again.
You can communicate.
Now I can read and write, and I can move around my home. I can help my child. I can even bathe my child. So that's the training. It took me only 1 year to learn that those activities, because they call it daily living activities.
Yes.
Then from there, he introduced me to the association of the disabled in Arua. In 1987, they started the National Union of Disabled Persons of Uganda. Okay. This is an organization which brings together all group organizations of people with disability, whether blind, deaf, physical, together. We have it here in Kampala. Its headquarters is in Tinda, Isasi Road. So they has opened their branch in Arua. So I joined that association of Arua. And there from time to time, we could come to Arua, to Kampala. One day they organized a very big workshop for women, because at that time in Nudipo, women were not immobilized yet. So they wanted to bring up women from different districts, each woman from each district, to come together to plan for the future of women with a disability. So my teacher, Anna Maria, advised my group to send me, because I'm a teacher, I know English, I will be the better person to represent them.
Yes.
So that is how I came to Kampala.
To Kampala.
I came with my guide.
So now, before all of that, I wanted to ask, how was it easy to cope? Because you see today we're having teachers complain, oh, the salary this, oh, salary that, oh, this, that. Was it good enough to help you deal with, now you have children, you have a family, and now you're dealing, because when you talk about constant checkups for your eyesight and the operation, all of these things, how did that,
well, it was not easy. I think it was frustrating both on my side and on my husband's side. I used to contribute for when I was teaching. But luckily enough, at that moment, my salary was, my name was not raised off from the salary.
Okay.
I was able to get my little money. That time, the highest was than 4,000 a month. I was able to get that little money.
Yes.
Then my husband was also working. We could still meet some of our basic needs.
Basic needs, yes.
But the frustration of having no sight, and for how long shall I receive the salary? With the time, they may scrap me off if I'm not reinstated to teach.
That is.
So those are the frustrations we had. Especially with my husband, he was not happy because he expected, of course, I has to have a woman who can move around, who can do everything.
Yes.
But all of a sudden, he cannot do anything. He was really frustrated. And even that one, it drove him to get a second wife. Right. And this one added to my problems.
That is really headache.
It was not very easy to cope with it. Yes. But when I got now rehabilitated, I was able to do some of my things. Then I joined the union, as I talked about. When we came to Kampala and went to Jinja for the workshop, they elected me to be regional representative.
Nice.
Then they gave me some money to mobilize the disabled persons in West Nile. And without knowing, I was given just a time around 20, was it 25,000? Yeah, 25,000.
At the time, yes, that was
big money.
Yes.
And without knowing, very honestly, I organized people. I went to the Nebi, I organized the disabled people I met. I went to Maracha, I went to Koboko. I really talked to people with disability.
Okay. So this gave you hope.
That one, I was busy with that little money. Then I got an information officer to cover up. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing the right thing. Then my names appeared on the new vision of Uganda. Can you imagine the new vision? These people of Nudipo read, they said, Babadiri is a very hard working woman. This lady is very hard working. So when they advertised the job here, they were now eyeing me to take up with the job of gender development officer.
And you got it?
That is how I became now a gender development officer. But it was not easy. I had to go undergo interview. And I performed very well. Not that I was given, but because I performed very well.
Yes.
That's how I came to Kampala. And that was not good for my mother. My mother was worried. She said, this blind woman would be knocked by those many vehicles in Kampala. It's only my father who said, just go. God has taken your eyes, maybe the one direct you to do something.
That's true.
But my husband was very reluctant. He didn't want But he had no choice.
Yes.
Because I had already got my admission letter. He said, okay, you can go. He allowed me to come. So that is how I moved to Kampala. That was 1992. I worked as a gender development officer in the National Union of Disabled Persons of Uganda for 4 years. And in Nudipo, we have the programs of advocacy, training in business, gender programs. So the one of gender, I was the one in charge, training, sensitizing people with the disability about gender issues, moving from one place to another. Then I attended a number of courses. One of them is to be a trainer of trainers in East and Southern Africa in the Makerere University for about 1 month. So that one built my capacity. I was able now to know more problems of people with disability.
Yes.
I knew more people. Now it really enriched my knowledge and my ability.
So what pushed you to lean towards the gender perspective? Getting into the working sector, or maybe the society in which you've grown, did you feel there were some gaps as a woman that maybe, you are pushed to talk about some of these issues?
For that one of gender, I didn't know anything about gender.
Okay.
But if I read back, what I was doing was really gender sensitive.
Yes.
But I didn't know. When I became a gender development officer, they had to do a lot of induction, a lot of training. So I learned a lot about gender. So I worked with the Nudipo, and we advocated for the representation in the parliament.
Yes.
So in 1994, when the Constituent Assembly was debating the draft constitution of Uganda, we said one person, we said people with disabilities should be represented. If youth are there, women are there, workers are there, why not persons with disability? So we sent our director, by then late Erifas Mazima, and though he's now late. He represented us very well, and we managed to include a number of issues, affirmative action, non-discrimination, gender equality. All of this we include in the Constitution of Uganda. That's why when the time came for election of members of parliament, we said, how many are you giving us? Yes. People with disability now demanding government. We wanted 8, so that 2 from each region. We said, no, there are too many. We are giving you only 4. So we said, but 4. Many will take, they want to give according to regions, Northern region, Western region, Eastern and Central. They said, what about the woman? Many will take all these positions. Give us at least 1 for the woman seat. So they gave us 5. That is how we got the 5 seats in the parliament. Now who has to come? That time even the people didn't know who should go. We were looking for people. We first went to a lawyer. It's called Christine Kania, a lawyer. This is now late. He said, no, I'm a judge. I like my work. I don't want to go to politics. Then we tried. We said, what about William? Northern Uganda is in Najoli. Can you take up? They said, no, I'm working with the Action in Disability and Development. I'm not going. They said, Babadiri. I said, should I try? I don't like politics. To me, I believe in politics. When people tell us of lies, killings, and so on, I didn't want it. But my director convinced me, said, Babadiri, let us go. You are the right person. You have moved everywhere in Uganda with the disability training. So you are the right person. So I accepted. I changed my mind. And immediately I started writing my manifesto. So that is how I came to a parliament. Now, out of the 5 seats, I said I'm not contesting for this one of women. I won't contest Northern Uganda with the men. With the men. So that we are 2 women in the parliament rather than having only 3. And that one, it gave me good support because I said I'm blind, I can work for the blind. I'm a woman, I work for the women, Northern Uganda, and for gender issues, I know the problems of men and women. So I got overwhelming votes. That's
and
how
that
I
was
came
a
to
good
parliament.
thing, because imagine just going on the seat that was allocated for the women. They would say, that was very easy for her, because after all.
And that's how I came to this parliament of Uganda. It is because of the passion for people with disability, not because of politics for the sake of it. Though with the time I developed appetite and became a strong politician and refused to come to leave the place. as a blind person, you must have a guide. Without a guide, it is hard to do alone, to work alone. You need somebody to proofread, to read your documents. Then for the deaf, we need an interpreter to interpret everything, because the deaf person, they have their sign language. And without a sign language, you cannot hear anything. So we need that one. Then we said that time the lifts were not repaired.
Yes.
They are all now, we put them in place. So the speaker at that time was the late Wapakabolo. He listened to us and everything was put in place.
And like you said, blind but able. That's
Yes.
what she has here on the book. So then you decide to come back, yes, for a second time. After doing that, what are you thinking at this point?
I must tell people that I really worked.
Yes.
And first I said, let us start a farmers association, because I've seen other farmers association benefiting our farmers. I started Koboko District Farmers Association. This one was registered with the Federation of Farmers, with the registrars. They are registered, and it's a fully fledged association. The farmers are benefiting from training. Even we received some machines for rice huller, for oil mill, for maize mill, for grain milling. So I started a school called Kochi Secondary School in a sub-county. My sub-county, there was no secondary school. So I decided that school, and it's now fully fledged up to senior 6. And I've given to government. I said it's not my school, it's a community school.
Yes.
So it is fully fledged and performing very well. Then I started annexes for the blind and for the deaf. One in Lima for the blind, Nyarilo Primary School for the blind, then Teremunga for the deaf. The children there, they are learning. Though they are facing some challenges of materials and accommodation, but they are doing it.
Yes.
Then I worked to see that our Koboko Uraba Arua Road was tarmacked. I remained the committee of physical infrastructure for 4 years to make sure that that road is tarmacked. Now we have electricity. We have water. We used to not have water at all. Then I advocated, I went to the minister. I took the minister to Koboko to see the problem of water. And we went at the dry season, peak of dry season in January,
so
where those people were
across,
scrambling there, the minister. So then they gave us underground water. Then after that, underground water was just saving only the town. But I still continue to advocate. We got now surface water with a big dam in Kochi. And it pumps water to the whole of the municipality, and even it can be extended to the other sub-counties.
Is there anything at the age of 65 where you sit and say, this I regret, or maybe I should have done something a little bit different, or taken time to do things different? Do you have any of those moments?
I cannot regret much. Maybe the sight. If I had at early childhood, I would have taken initiative that time. If I had gone to the hospital at early age.
So amidst all of this, you've gone through, what is that one particular thing where you say, you know what, no matter what I have been through, this is it?
Okay. Becoming a member of parliament to serve for 25 years.
That is true.
Very few members of parliament
Have actually done that.
Like that. There are some who are still there 30 years, but very few. And I'm very grateful to people with disability for building my capacity to come to parliament. Then also I thank people of Koboko for giving me all the other 3 terms to serve them. Though I'm no longer in the parliament, but I think I'm not badly off.
Yeah. So this is a yes or no question. Now that you're out of parliament, imagine they said, well, maybe you should be a presidential advisor. Is that something you could take on?
I'm ready to give even advice. I'm ready to be in any commission. I'm ready to be. I'm longing to see that I'm occupied, because I have very little work to do.
And you continue to serve.
Now I have started a foundation, an association. That is the Babadiri Foundation. Now to work with the marginalized, vulnerable people like children, women, girls who are drop out from school, then people with disability. I've started, it's registered. And now I've zeroed to, at the moment to begin with, because I don't have much money, I've zeroed to training blind people, providing community-based rehabilitation for the blind person. Now I've started with the Koboko, and I identify some blind people, go talk to them, teach them how to move. We're using the white canes, which are not there, but we use sticks for the time being.
Yes.
So that they can move around their home, they can go to the toilet, they can help themselves wash their clothes. Secondly, before I left the parliament, I did my story, which I see you have heard. It's quite fascinating.
Bits and pieces.
I felt that I should put it down in writing, so that you can read in details what my life is. That's why I've written this book. It's called The Invisible Hand of God in My Life. Because I feel really what I've done is the miracles. Miracles. To become blind and be able to work like any other sighted person and come to parliament, I think that is a great miracles of God. That's why I've come up with a book called The Invisible Hand of God in My Life. And now I'm selling the book. It's cheap, about 40,000 shillings. You can buy and read about me, and you can learn a lot to read.
And I must say that there's some hilarious bits as much as there is challenges. I read something, I was like, okay. You know, everyone with their first salary, you know what we all do with our first salaries, everyone has that. You decided to go and do it and get yourself a couple of dresses and shoes and get your hair treated, which was the first experience.
You want me to?
So all of these things definitely you will find in this book. This is just a snippet of you know, the situation. She has been through the tough and the good, just like most of us. And indeed, she has put on the book, blind but able. This is not a cliche. Usually they say to be disability is not an inability. But you must know out there that everyone's disability is different. She may be having an eyesight problem, or someone out there physically unable, but the disability could be anything, you know, to having no funds to help you do something, to the lack of the education, to anything. So disability in this case could be bigger picture. But thank you so much, Honorable Babadiri.
Before we close, I would say I'm among the lucky persons with disability who had the chance. First of all, I completed my studies up to diploma level, and I had before I became blind. Then there are some people who became blind at early stage. When they are children, even some born blind. So some of them never got the opportunity to go to school. Many are there languishing. Few are coming to school. So we need to see that all the blind people, all the physically disabled, all deaf people, all the children must go to school. Once they're in school, they'll be able to learn some skills for earning living. That is very important. I'm happy to hear that one of our blind person has been appointed as a judge. I heard it over the radio, which is the greatest achievement. And we're able, they are good, blind people have good lawyers. Because it's just a matter of reading and talking.
So do not give up on your children, do not give up on yourself, do not give up on your brother or sister. Anyone out there that's having a challenge, whether they're underprivileged, maybe in the brackets of the women, the youth, and that's what partly the major thing about this program is to make sure we bring you women that have gone beyond boundaries. Every mountain is there. Everyone has a mountain to climb. Just that the mountains could be different, or some higher than others, but we should never give up. Thank you so much for inspiring story, Honorable. Honorable Babadiri, Margaret Babadiri, she's been able to give us snippets here and there of her story. Super Soul Sisters, Rowena Kajumba. We do wish you a very good one as we come back next time. Don't forget, this is Daughters exclusive. It's where we sit at this beautiful space that they've given to us, and as you can see, we're all shining here.
Thank you.
So have yourselves a lovely one. We'll be back.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you, viewers. I wish you all well. Thank you. Disability is not inability. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.